Summary of Sideways New Zealand, The Road Back, written by Rex Pickett. Chapter 1. Miles stared at the screen, the glow of the laptop casting shadows on his face as he read and reread Melena's email. The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of memories and the anticipation of something significant. Dear Miles, I hope this finds you well. I don't know if you remember me, but this is Melena Ernst. I'm the woman you met at Laubridge Hotel in Del Mar, California, some 2 decades ago. The past surged forward, a relentless tide. Melena's name echoed through the corridors of Miles's mind, stirring up images of a hotel room by the beach, crashing waves, and the intertwining of 2 lives fueled by desire and recklessness. He closed his eyes, trying to grasp the ephemeral moments that now felt like distant dreams. After absorbing the lengthy and disturbing email, Miles closed the laptop, setting it on the coffee table. He straightened up from the couch in the Prophet's Rock Winery guest cottage, a place he had called home for the past year and a half. The cottage perched on a knoll in central Otago, New Zealand, surrounded by snow-capped mountains and vineyards. Miles had sought solace in this remote corner of the world, escaping the chaos and toxicity of his past life. Wandering over to the amber-tinted windows, Miles gazed outward at the Pisa Range, draped in snow like a tattered white throw on a colossal brown sofa. The vineyards below, stripped of summer greenery, glinted in the wintry afternoon sunlight. He had traded the hustle of Hollywood for the tranquility of New Zealand, investing in a vineyard named Miles's Lot. As he pondered the startling email, Miles tried to conjure Melena. Her name reverberated within him, a mix of clamor and sonorous echoes from a bygone era. Outwardly, he stared at the mountains, grappling with the implications of Melena's reappearance in his life. The email spoke of Melena following his success with a book and movie, expressing nostalgia for their time together. It also hinted at an unresolved issue, a revelation she needed to share. Miles felt a whirlwind of emotions, confusion, regret, and a tinge of longing. Returning to the email, he continued reading Melena's words. She acknowledged the complexities of their past and reassured him that her contact wasn't motivated by a desire for his celebrity. Intrigued and apprehensive, Miles read on. You're of course wondering why I'm reaching out to you after all these many years of silence and lives lived apart. Fear not, I'm not after any of your celebrity. Nor am I reaching out to simply say hi. There's something important I need to tell you. Miles felt a lump in his throat as he absorbed Melena's cryptic message. The email painted a vivid picture of a life Miles had left behind, the fame, the tumultuous relationships, and the relentless pursuit of success in Hollywood. Now, ensconced in the tranquility of New Zealand, Miles faced the prospect of confronting a past he had tried to leave behind. He rose from the couch, his mind a tempest of conflicting emotions. A bottle of Prophet's Rock Chardonnay beckoned from the refrigerator, its contents promising solace and escape. Miles poured himself a glass, admiring the unique qualities of Central Otago's wine. It was a moment of respite, a brief pause before the storm that Melena's email had unleashed. In the midst of his introspection, Miles thought of Ella, the woman he had met in New Zealand. Their love had brought richness and complexity to his life, offering a respite from the tumultuous existence he had known. He also thought of Max, the special needs cat who had become an unexpected source of comfort and companionship. Max, with his disability, had taught Miles about resilience and the ability to find joy in unexpected places. The feline friend had witnessed Miles's struggles and rants, offering a silent but reassuring presence. As Miles stroked Max's silky fur, he couldn't escape the gravity of Melena's words. The revelation she promised lingered like a storm cloud on the horizon, casting a shadow over the idyllic landscape of Prophet's Rock. Miles felt a profound sense of disquiet, realizing that, no matter how far he had traveled, his history had caught up with him. The night enveloped the cottage, the snow-capped mountains now hidden in darkness. Miles, hand clasped to his mouth, grappled with the fragments of his past, the uncertainty of Melena's revelation, and the implications it held for his carefully curated existence in New Zealand. How had an email from a woman he hadn't heard from in decades disrupted the delicate balance he had found in the solitude of Central Otago? Miles stood in the quiet of the night, wrestling with the ghosts of his past and the uncertain future that Melena's words had unveiled. Chapter 2. Miles stood in the heart of his half-hectare Pinot Noir vineyard in New Zealand, the bitter cold air condensing their heated argument. Ella, his partner and an accomplished winemaker, raged against his decision to return to California. The vineyard, where they had planned their future together, now felt like a battleground of emotions. The cold air hung between them, their breath visible in the chill as they faced each other. Ella, clad in a knobby navy blue sweater and a black watch cap over her thundercloud black hair, mirrored the storm within her. Miles, with his hirsute face flecked with gray, felt the weight of his decisions pressing on him. The barren winter vines stood as silent witnesses to the turmoil, reflecting the desolation in his soul. The mirrored Ray-Bans on Ella's face reflected Miles' aging features. Nestled wrinkles crinkled at the edges of his eyes, a stark reminder that he had traversed the tropics of life and was closer to death than birth. The air between them crackled with tension, exhalations intersecting like opposable fogs. Ella's dark brown eyes bore into Miles with laser-vectored fury as she snorted in reproach. In an outburst, she tore off her watch cap, revealing hair striated with grays, which she blamed on him. Her dark eyes remained fixed on him as she planted her hands on her hips, rooted to the ground, demanding an explanation. In Miles' right hand, an unwittingly brandished battery-powered electric pruner hovered between them. At Ella's command, he lowered it, unable to meet her eyes. The acrimonious space that had suddenly emerged felt insurmountable. A stinging slap seemed imminent, the tension thickening with each passing moment. Huh? Ella insisted, her anger undeterred. Her head cocked to one side, demanding answers, refusing to move until she dredged an explanation from the depths of Miles' inscrutable words about returning to California. Miles slowly lifted his head, meeting her glowering gaze. In his early 40s, often mistaken for younger, Miles had found love with Ella, a vineyard manager turned winemaker. Their paths crossed, and their collision was more than a fleeting affair. Instead of a casual encounter, Ella accepted Miles into her world, heart, body, soul, and wine. The vineyard held the promise of producing Miles' scant few barrels of Pinot Noir from Miles's lot. Hand-harvested, carefully sorted, and crushed in a sophisticated wooden press, Miles spared no expense for Ella, whom he loved with all his heart. They lived facing each other from opposable ranges, their mornings, beginning with the sun climbing over the hills and engoldening the vineyards. Miles, a writer, and Ella, a winemaker, took their ingredients, he from the dominion of his imagination, she from the land and weather. Their creations, subjective choices made for better or worse, connected them through their shared passion. Plans of living together and building a life had been inchoate but promising, with Miles' visa running out. Now, the specter of Miles returning to California loomed, threatening to dismantle the life they had envisioned together. Ella, hands on her hips, demanded an explanation for this potential upheaval. The air became charged with the weight of their unspoken future. Unable to bear the contempt in Ella's eyes, Miles lowered the pruner and nodded, a gesture that fell short of answering her question. He half expected a stinging slap across his face, a physical manifestation of the emotional turmoil unraveling between them. Huh? Ella barked again, her cheeks flushed with anger, demanding an explanation for his seemingly callous decision. Miles, grappling with the complexity of his situation, found himself unable to articulate the reasons behind his choice. It's too personal, Ella, Miles finally admitted, his voice carrying a tinge of shame. The truth hung heavy in the air, a truth he was hesitant to unveil. Another woman? Ella's accusatory tone cut through the cold air, her eyes narrowing with suspicion. Miles pleaded for understanding, emphasizing his commitment to honesty in their relationship. He tried to explain that it wasn't what she was thinking, but Ella's anger intensified. She snorted in disbelief, tore off her watch cap, raking a hand through her hair. The dark brown eyes that once bore love and understanding now burned with an adamantine incredulity. The revelation of Miles possibly returning to California had set off a chain reaction of assumptions and accusations, unraveling the blissful couple they were just hours ago. The conversation turned into a tumultuous exchange as Ella pressed for answers. Miles, caught between the shocking news he had received and Ella's demand for transparency, struggled to find the right words. His attempt to convey the gravity of the situation, without divulging the full truth, only fueled Ella's anger. "Why can't you tell me?" Ella's voice rose, her head telescoping forward threateningly. The emotional distance between them grew, the fissure widening, and the rift becoming unbridgeable. "I haven't even processed this news," Miles admitted, referring to the email that had scarred his thoughts. The wound inflicted by the revelation was still fresh, the arrow embedded in his side. Ella, her anger undiminished, pressed on, demanding answers. Miles, paralyzed by the weight of his unspoken truth, found himself unable to provide the clarity Ella sought. The specter of his past, hinted at in Melena's email, loomed large, complicating the delicate fabric of their relationship. The conversation shifted, with Ella expressing concerns about Miles's visa status and the potential consequences of his return to California. The realization that Miles might not be able to return to New Zealand dawned on Ella, intensifying her fear of losing him. "If you fly back to California, they will detain you at customs, then deport you." Ella's anguish-filled words hung in the cold air, emphasizing the gravity of Miles's decision. The implications of his actions, both personal and legal, were tearing apart the life they had envisioned together. "And I'll lose you. And you'll lose me. And all our dreams of this," Ella's sweeping gesture encompassed the vineyard, the enterprise that bound them together. The future they had envisioned, filled with promise and commitment, now hung in the balance. The confrontation reached its peak as Ella, her eyes blazing, declared that their dreams were slipping through her hands. Miles, grappling with the consequences of his decisions, could only nod in resignation, realizing the damning conclusions Ella had drawn. The emotional turbulence continued as Ella accused Miles of leaving her in limbo, the uncertainty of their future becoming a source of unbearable pain. Miles, desperate to salvage the situation, implored Ella to trust him. However, trust proved elusive as Ella mocked Miles for his past as an author writing about lying men. The accusations escalated, with Ella branding Miles as cold, indifferent, and aloof. The foundations of their relationship crumbled under the weight of unspoken truths, leaving Miles feeling like a different person in Ella's eyes. The idyllic life they had built together now faced imminent destruction. "I can't believe you can't tell the woman you love," Ella lamented, tears streaming down her face. The emotional intensity reached its peak, with Ella accusing Miles of being unable to share his innermost thoughts with her. Miles, overwhelmed by the unraveling of their relationship, pleaded for Ella's understanding. He spoke of the complexities of his past, the unresolved issues that haunted him. Ella, hurt and betrayed, could no longer bear the weight of Miles's undisclosed burdens. In a moment of desperate vulnerability, Miles confessed about the email from Melena, hinting at the existence of a daughter. The revelation hung in the air, a bombshell that shattered the remaining fragments of trust between them. Ella, blindsided by this revelation, struggled to process the magnitude of Miles's hidden truth. The narrative shifted to a heart-wrenching scene as Ella, in disbelief and anguish, demanded an explanation for Miles's failure to share such a crucial part of his past. Miles, haunted by the ghosts of his own secrets, could only offer a tearful apology, expressing the pain he felt at the prospect of losing Ella. The vineyard, once a symbol of their shared dreams, stood witness to the disintegration of their relationship. The winter vines, stripped of their foliage, mirrored the barren landscape of Miles's heart as he grappled with the consequences of his decisions. Ella, hurt and betrayed, declared their relationship over. The vineyard, once a haven for their shared aspirations, now became a silent witness to the end of their dreams. The cold New Zealand air, thick with unresolved emotions, enveloped Miles as he stood alone, abandoned by the woman he loved. Retreating to the guest house, Miles sought solace in the company of his special needs cat, Max. The feline companion, sensing Miles's distress, nestled close, providing a silent but comforting presence. In the solitude of the guest house, Miles poured out his heart to Max, confessing the complexities of his past and the overwhelming weight of his undisclosed truths. The narrative painted a poignant picture of love, loss, and the intricate web of personal history. Miles, grappling with the consequences of his decisions and haunted by the ghosts of his past, faced an uncertain future. The vineyard, once a symbol of hope and shared dreams, now stood as a stark reminder of the shattered fragments of a once promising relationship. As Miles contemplated the fraying threads of his life, a reminder of a Zoom call with his friend Jack interrupted his thoughts. The narrative concluded with Miles, still holding on to Max, navigating the complexities of his past and an uncertain